you guys loved the S63 Coupe as much as I did. It's been one of our best videos ever in terms of positive response. So even me as a prospective buyer, I said, I'd love to have one of those cars. And I started looking online and I came across, of course, the Cabriolet version. I thought, well, it'd be nice to see what fellow reviewers thought of the UK version of the Cabriolet. Unfortunately, hardly anyone has done anything about this car. Now, I know that it's a niche product and not many are sold, but the issue is all that everyone was talking about was the 4MATIC version in Europe, which is a completely different car altogether, because this is rear-wheel drive, just like the Coupe that we tried. So this car needs some attention, it needs some love, and we're going to give it that attention and love today. So let's start off talking about this car, its design as we did last time. I'm not going to run too much into details. If you want to see the full-on review of the S-Class Coupe Cab, check out the S63 Coupe one. But let's give this baby some love. So this is, of course, the AMG S63 Cabriolet. It shares the same facelift upgrades as the Coupe. So, of course, always the first bit that we talk about on the new AMGs when it comes to design is that panamericana grille, or the AMG specific grille, as they're starting to call it now. And with this particular spec of car in the white, it looks even more aggressive than on the black Coupe we had a look at. And one thing I don't like about the GTC Roadster, which is quite close in terms of price and power and whatnot to this car, I don't like that front end. Now, I love the panamericana grille on it, but if we look at the GT that we reviewed the other day, which has the same front, the air intakes to me just look really, really tame. And it looks like something that you might also see in terms of intakes and front end design on something like a normal A-Class. Whereas this car doesn't have that. It's got a much more aggressive mouth underneath the panamericana grille, which is really important for a car like this. It needs to look mean, it needs to look different to your run-of-the-mill Mercedes, especially when you're paying that kind of price. Now, side profile is really important on drop tops. Merc started off the whole hard drop top thing with the SLK back in the day, but they're reverting now to soft tops, and I think a lot of the reason is soft tops have a really good retro look, even in a really boring spec like this, I'm sorry to say. This is like polar opposites to the S Coupe we had, which was black with chrome pack. This is white, diamond white, with black wheels, and it's got night pack, and what that means in Mercedes language is all of the trims that were chrome on the Coupe review are blacked out on this, on the front end as well, around the air intakes, and on the back in terms of the diffuser. But the one thing that gets left out quite oddly, of course the door handles that everybody complains about, but it's this trim strip that goes around the roof. It's an odd decision considering everything else is made black. I think it might probably look better. If you're going for night pack, surely this should be black as well. But it is what it is. In terms of side profile, I think it's really handsome. Now, whether it's better looking than the Coupe, well, this is the age-old, is the Coupe better looking than the Cab argument. You guys tell me what you think in the comments, and I'll show you a shot now of what the roof looks like when it's down from this angle as well, which gives it a completely different look to the Coupe. So the rear end, again, night pack, you can see you've got the trim at the bottom is all black, the exhausts are black as well. It really suits a white car. I just wish they'd given red calipers or something to the outside. Forget about it. Right, the OLEDs on the rear lights, we discussed them in the S Coupe. They're absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to show you them again because they're pure car porn. 33 wafer thin OLED little strips of light. They look absolutely incredible. They are unique to S Coupe, S Cab. No other Merc has them. No other AMG has them, and that's really important. Now, while we're here, I'm going to pull the roof down and I'll show you what this view looks like. You can do it with just the key, which is cool. And it takes 20 seconds. The roof can be pulled down at about 37 miles per hour as well while you're running. That's quite cool right there. You've got the Burmeister, little speakers come up as well, the speaker covers. And there you go, 20 seconds later, it is a drop top. If you hold down the button one more time, it'll pull down the windows as well. So this is the view now of the car from this angle. I think it looks really incredible. It reminds me of the recent Maybach concepts that Mercedes have brought out, these gorgeous retro looking long cars, and this is the closest thing we have to it. In fact, The Maybach S650 Cabriolet, which was a limited edition model, was of course based on this. This is probably the better car to have, but you didn't hear that from me. Now, some small things that I didn't mention last time. A lot of the tech from the normal S-Class comes across, so there's no wiper, or rather washer jets on this car. All the wiper fluid comes out of the actual wipers themselves in the blades. So you don't get any of that mess spraying across backwards onto the car or other road users. It just comes out of this spray and goes across the front of the windshield and keeps all the muck right here, which is great. One thing specifically about cabriolets, drop tops, roadsters, etc. is, especially the ones with the roof folds into the back and the engine's in the front, is how much boot space do you have left afterwards? And it's not too bad in this car, actually. So the Coupé has 400 litres, this has got 350. So there's not too much in terms of what's been removed. Now let's have a quick look at the engine. I know you've seen it before. I love it. It's my favourite engine, so we're going to look at it again. It is the 4-litre BiTurbo. Basic tune from the E63, but this one pushes out 604, so a little bit less than the 4MATIC versions, but it is an awesome engine. We're going to hear it a lot in this review because I'm going to be a hooligan. I've not actually driven this car yet, so I'm going to experience it with you, which will be interesting. Now, one big difference in terms of the interior to this one, although very similar to the Coupé we reviewed, is that it's got carbon fibre, and I discussed last time how awesome this front end, this front dash of the car is, the way it seamlessly goes from the door all the way around the front. And when you have the weave of the carbon fibre, it makes it look absolutely stunning. So it's definitely an option to have over the boring wood. The rest of the interior, I'm so tired of getting black in cars. I mean, I discussed this with you guys in the comments. I don't like black interiors. I think they're boring. They work on some cars, like in the GTR when you've got the yellow stitch, etc. It's fine, but this is a cabriolet. When you have the roof down, you want to see some color or some interesting spec choice that's been made between the roof color, the body color, the wheels, the calipers. You know, is there a two-tone interior going on? This is just so mundane to me anyway. So in terms of facelift changes, let's get those out the way first. Most obvious one is the steering wheel. It's the new AMG steering wheel. This bottom part is unique compared to other Mercs getting this similar structure. Very steampunk looking. I'm loving the touch buttons. If you want to see a more in-depth review of those, check out the Coupé review. Spoiler, basically very easy to use, very safe, keeps your eyes on the road, which is great. You've obviously got the new 12.3-inch screen. I'll show you the different driver zones that you can have while we're on the drive. So the S-Classes have an actual seat button here, and there's a good reason for that. You don't have, for example, lumbar controls on the seats. Everything is done specifically for either the driver's seat or the passenger seat, and there's a lot of settings. So this car has got dynamic seats, which means that when you're turning the steering wheel, this part of the seats turns with you, and you can set that to 2 levels, but you can also set whether both passengers feel it or just the one. So you can leave it on the driver and leave your passenger alone, which is a really nice option, and it shows that this is an S-Class. It's more important about how the occupants are feeling, but it goes beyond that. So whereas this has got massaging seats, as you would expect an S-Class to have, but it's not just 1 or 2 options. You've got high intensity, hot relaxing back, hot relaxing shoulder, activating massage, classic massage, mobilizing massage, active workout backrest. It's like having a physiotherapist with you in the car. It's mind-boggling, but that's why this is the top dog in terms of luxury. Lumbar options are vast. You've got shoulders, side bolsters, the lumbar itself, all up and down. And then another interesting part of the seat is seat heating balance that you can set. It's not just a matter of pressing the heated seat button, you can set the balance. And this shows you that you're sitting in an S-Class. It's not simple technology, it goes beyond that. And then when people compare stuff like the C cab or the E cab to this, I'm thinking, you guys need to try the S-Class, because it is not just a level above those. It punches above its weight. It gives its competition a bloody nose, who are even more expensive than this. Now, one thing we mentioned last time is something called energizing comfort, and it's an interesting option. What it basically does, it changes the ambience of the car using all the tech that's available to it. So for example, the S-Class, as you may or may not have heard, actually has perfumes built into it. This one's called Pacific Mood, and it slots into here, and then it comes out of the air conditioning and floods the rest of the car. And energizing comfort uses the perfume, it uses the air conditioning, it uses your massaging, seat heating, it uses even the ambient lighting and even music in some of these options here to give you a certain ambience in the car, or to give you driver training, or to just change the way you're feeling while you're driving. And you don't get this in anything else in terms of Mercedes. Of course, you got all the ambient lighting settings, 64 colors, all these different zones and brightnesses that you can have. That's exactly the same as the S Saloon. Don't expect to come out of an S Saloon and have less tech in these. If anything, they've got more stuff. Now, as with all new AMGs, this has got AMG Track Pace, and what that is, it warns you straight away for race tracks only. It can be set to certain tracks around the world, all the famous ones. It gives you lap times, drag race times, 0 to 30, 0 to 60, 0 to 100, and it'll save all of that to your driver profile. And this shows you the sea change at AMG, not just about being straight line performance. Doesn't matter if it's an S-Class or whether it's the AMG GT 4-door, which is more capable. Now, in order to get the roof down, you have to open this flap, and all the roof controls are here. Now, this is what it's all about with a drop top or a cabriolet. Now, not only can you put the roof down here, there's also a separate button here to put all the windows down, which I'll show you as well. So that's quite a nice touch. And there's something else here, another button, which is for an aerodynamic feature called air cap. And I'll show you what that looks like. It's a function that comes out the front at the top here, and it basically stops wind from entering the cabin and disturbing the occupants. So it's a pretty cool feature. It does make the car look a bit ugly from the outside, in my opinion, but you have to give something to get something. Well, now that we have the roof open, this is the best time to be a bit of a hooligan. So let's put the car into Sport Plus. Now, this car has a different startup and comfort in Sport Plus, but if you want to see a few more startups and what comfort sounds like, head to the S63 review that we did, the Coupé. I'm just going to be hooligan today in this car. So Sport Plus. Will that ever get old? No. I don't know whether it translates on microphone how loud the decibels are, but oh, it's just absolute madness. Now, this car, of course, has also got air scarf, as you'd expect, and you need to have in cabriolets. I'm going to head in the back and show you what the headroom is like with the roof closed. Now, closing the roof, oh, that's really cool. So you've actually got lighting still within the roof. That I wasn't expecting, so that's a pretty awesome thing. You'd expect that to be negated straight away as soon as you have a soft top, but you've still got lights there, which is brilliant. We've got loads of headroom here, probably more than the Coupé actually. I think I've got at least a hand's width above my head. I'm, what, 5'10", and the rest is exactly the same. If I put this back to my seating position, it's a pretty comfortable place to be. You've still got heated seats as well. But the thrill of having the cabriolet is having the roof down, honestly, especially when you're sitting in the back. Then it's a road trip car. Then it's something, when the sun's out, you want to enjoy. And then, of course, you've got all the headroom in the world that you could ever want. But this is not the seat that I want to be sitting in today. I want to sit in that seat, and I want to go on a drive and see what this car is like. So let's take this car out now. Oh, what an absolutely perfect day to be driving an S-Class Cabriolet, let alone the AMG version. The driving gods have been kind. So this is my first time driving this, the facelift version of the car. I have driven the pre-facelift very extensively in its 63 guise, and that car impressed me more than the Coupé actually. I thought, where I've criticized the pre-facelift Coupé for not having enough drama, the previous one, because you had the roof down, you could get a bit more of the engine noise, which was great. But let's see, I'm going to experience this one with you, which is going to be quite interesting now. So at the moment, the car is in comfort, exhaust is off, blasphemy, I know, but still you're getting a nice V8 rumble, very akin to sort of the S500, S560 type sound, which is nice. It's actually as much, if not maybe slightly more than the Coupé, but but we'll come on to sound a bit later. So I'm driving along now, we're doing just a shade under 60 miles per hour, and just like the Coupé, there's no sound. No wind noise, road noise, anything. And the reason is you've got triple layer insulation in the roof here. In fact, you look at the design of the roof, it looks just as solid. It's using the same materials as the bits that it joins to on the rest of the car. It pretty much looks like the Coupé's roof. It cruises along beautifully. There is some V8 rumble if you want it, but essentially it's behaving like the S Saloon, and that's the benchmark that I put both the S Cab and the S Coupé against, because the true S-Class is the S Saloon in whatever guise it might be in. That is the big daddy, that is the best luxury car in the world. And these facelift cars, and indeed the predecessors, in terms of just this suspension and refinement of ride, they're just like the Saloon. So I would say to anyone who's worried about coming into one of these and thinking that you're going to lose that, you don't, not even with the large 20-inch wheels on this car. Now, refinement and noise and lack thereof, it's all great for an S-Class, but that's not why you buy this particular model. This is the AMG S63, and it's a rear-wheel drive car with 604 brake horsepower. So we're not going to leave the exhaust off any longer. That's coming straight back on. You can hear the exhaust flaps open now. The deeper rumble of the 4-litre V8 is there. Immediately you can see what a difference it makes. So this is AMG's star engine, the 4-litre BiTurbo, what I often refer to as the best V8 in the world. So you've got 604 brake horsepower in this one, same as the Coupé. As you can see on the engine readout here, it goes up to 900 Newton meters of torque. The power curve is just like the old 6.2 naturally aspirated engine. So it is a potent engine, and it really feels it as well. So paired to this glorious V8 is the new 9-speed box. I'm going to tread old ground. As I said in the S63 review, it's a really great box. It's reliable, even in comfort mode. It shifts when you want it to when you hit it in manual. Sport is not really a mode I tend to use because it's just a bit more rumble. It's pretty similar to comfort. So I'm going to do what you want me to do. Let's stick it into Sport Plus all round, and I'm going to put the suspension into Sport Plus now as well, because this is one of the few AMGs where I'm happy to use the suspension in Sport Plus. But first, let's talk about what the sound is like with the roof up. One issue I had with the C63S and the GTC Roadster is that with the roof up, there's just not enough sound compared to the Coupé. This car isn't like that. It is really close to the Coupé, and that's despite the triple insulation. So I don't know where the sound is seeping in from, but it's just got such a wonderful balance for such a large car as well. But yeah, great sound with the roof up as well, which is really important because you can't always be driving, especially in the UK. We get a few months of good weather and then you've got the roof up all the time. It's important thus that an AMG sounds good with the roof up, and I found that a disappointing fact when I had the C63S Cab. I also found that with the GTC Roadster. Now I know what you're thinking. He's not putting the roof down because his hair's going to get ruined and he's going to look like a complete idiot. But I have come prepared. I will put the roof down, but I'm not going to look like an idiot because I brought this. This is a little souvenir from our AMG Road Trip 2018, which you can check on the channel. It's from legendary engine builder Michael Kubler. I hope you can see that on there. Mike, as you may or may not know, makes or builds all the Pagani engines, the V12s for the Huayra, Huayra BC, Huayra Roadster. He also does all of the naturally aspirated GT3 engines for the race cars, and historically he's done V12s, he's done the CLK GTR. Pretty much a living legend as far as AMG goes. So Mike, you are saving me from looking like a complete moron Now this I don't like. I don't like having the roof control behind this massive flap. It doesn't make any sense to me. But let's get the roof down now. This, of course, can be done of speeds up to 37 miles per hour as well, which is great, so I can just continue driving. I'm also going to pop the wind deflector up, because that will help things in terms of sound inside the car. So at the moment I'm in Sport Plus. I'm going to shift it back down to comfort with the exhaust on. I hope you can hear me all right with the roof down. Comfort mode with the flaps open. Right, enough flirtation. Let's get this into Sport Plus. You can be an absolute hooligan in this car. Oh my God. The sound of the S63 and E63 version of this engine, it's just incredible. I was making comparisons with the C63 cab and the GTC. This is louder with the roof down as well. This gives such a different experience to driving the Coupé, which is exactly what you want when you're buying a cabriolet like this. You want there to be more noise, more excitement, sunshine, sky. You get all of that in this S63 and more. So for me in this car, sound is the most important factor, and this S63 it's ridiculous. No way should just coming to a standstill be so exciting in a car, but it is in this one. As you guys know, I'm very much the hooligan AMG driver as opposed to the cruising one, but you can do both in this car, and as we discussed in the S63 Coupé, it does have that duality. So if we knock it back into comfort, it's completely silent again, even with the roof down. You can't hear the engine. As you can see, I'm doing 60 miles per hour. No sound of the downshifts. The gear changes are nice and quiet, which is what you would want. It's just behaving like an S-Class. But you go into race mode, and suddenly you've got a monkey in the back with a machine gun. Wow, wow, wow. One thing I do like is that now there's a bit of a difference in sound between Sport Plus and Race. Where Race is a little bit more dramatic. Now we need to get onto the handling aspect, because you always get worried coming into a cabriolet that it's going to lose the stiffness that the Coupé had. But the car corners so beautifully, and if you've seen the S63 Coupé review, then you saw I was talking about how well this car steers and how good the electronic steering is in terms of giving you feedback of exactly where the wheels are. It's the same on the cabriolet as you'd expect it to be. It's because of this tech that it shares with the S63 Coupé called curve tilting, and what that is, the car turns and curves like when a motorcycle rider is driving a motorcycle. It hits an angle and leans in. It gives you so much confidence going into turns. It's really important, because some cars, when you don't have that, you can't pick up speed, and when you lose confidence in a heavier car like this, then it's game over. It's just amazing when you're driving something so heavy. It's a drop top, but you know where the wheels are, You know you've got the grip in the rear, despite this being rear wheel drive and not 4MATIC. Oh. This is why you buy a car like this. And I think that's the question at the end of the day. Why do you spend that much more on buying an S63 Cabriolet? Why do you get it at all when you can have a C63S Cab, or you can go for a similarly priced GTC Roadster? But for me, and this is coming from someone who owns a GTR and prefers the harder cars, I would take the S63 Cab every single time. First of all, it's louder in almost every discernible scenario, with the roof up, the roof down, everything. The sound is just sweeter, and it's that E63 tune of the sound. It's a much better cruiser when you stick it into comfort mode. I'm going to do it again now just for the hell of it. And you hear absolutely nothing. It's just an S-Class. And the Magic body control suspension deals with bumpy roads like this like nothing else I've ever sat in. Then stick it into race mode and be an absolute moron with the car, because why not? It is an AMG. I'm trying to conclude this by deciding what I would have over the Coupé and the Cabriolet. It's such a tough one. I think the Coupé is a better looking car, but if you configure the cab properly, it's got so much more drama. It's got so much more eventfulness about it. You don't lose anything at all compared to the Coupé. But when the weather is good, it brings you a factor that the Coupé doesn't have. There's no doubt in my mind I'd have it over the GTC Roadster and the C63S. It's actually got seats unlike the GTC Roadster. I don't think the SL comes into anything anymore. It's almost become a redundant car, but the new SL, interestingly, is undergoing a massive change. Apparently, the entire project is being headed up by AMG. It's going back to the 2+2 seater, which I've been going on and on about on Instagram, well, a few years ago anyway, when the SL was still a thing. But it's going back to being 2+2, probably something more similar to the DB11 now, I reckon. But that's going to be exciting. It's made by AMG. That's when weighing that up against this will be a more interesting test. Isn't it great when a company like AMG continue to make loony cars like this, even when they don't necessarily have the numbers selling that the other cars do? It's great that these exist, and I hope that they continue to get made, because it's an absolute riot. Guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been a blast driving this S63 Cabriolet. What an awesome car. Please do like and subscribe and thumbs up the video as you always do. Me, I need to go and make some more noise as always. So see you soon.